This is Sarnia Lambton Daily for Tuesday, April 7th. Good evening, I'm Terry Doyle. The number of positive cases of COVID-19 has increased in Sarnia Lambton, but not at the same pace that we have seen in recent days. As of midday today, 86 positive cases had been recorded in the region, up from 80 on Monday. We had recently seen double-digit increases over 24-hour periods. The number of cases at Landmark Village is up by 1 today, with 21 residents and staff testing positive. This includes 6 staff and 15 residents. 4 of them have passed away. A 72-year-old Sarnia man is facing heavy fines after failing to self-quarantine after traveling back to Canada. Sarnia police say the man was seen in the area despite the self-quarantine orders being issued. After being warned, he was seen out and about again. When officers arrived at his home, he was not there. Upon his return, he was handed a ticket that could see a fine of over $750 plus additional fees that could bring it to almost $900. Officials throughout Sarnia Lambton held a community forum today to talk about the latest regarding COVID-19. We are going to dedicate the rest of today's Sarnia Lambton Daily to let you hear from the people involved. Let's start with some general thoughts from community officials.
For those who have lost loved ones to COVID, the people of Sarnia Lambton are now your extended family, grieving with you. And for those that are ill, everything that can be done will be done to assist you. For those not infected yet, act as if your life depends on your actions, because it does. And if you don't want to follow the guidelines, then the other option is death. Sacrifice is needed by all of us in our daily lives, so Canada gets better. I close by saying, stay strong, stay safe. The virus will not defeat us or define us as Sarnians or Canadians.
I echo Mayor Bradley's concerns and heartfelt condolences goes to those that have lost loved ones and those that are trying to accept how this is going. So we share that message. My thoughts go to all our essential workers that are there in our hospitals, our first responders. I thank you for everything that you're doing. I know that there's nurses and doctors that are afraid. They're very afraid for what is coming. So with that, I encourage everyone that is not following the recommendations of our health professionals to please do that. We will get through this, but we need to have the support of everyone. We need everyone to follow those regulations, those recommendations, so that we can get through this. Our world is going to be changed when we come out of this, but we can make adjustments to that. We need to be in this together to get through us. Stay strong, stay safe, stay home, all of those things.
I think that really this is part of a global fight that we're all in. And the fact that we now have 86 cases today and 8 deaths, each one of which is a tragedy for our families, shows us that we're not immune. And so I think the point is that we have to all be in this together, and they've all said that before. So the only thing I would add is that while we're being safe and while we're being strong, we also need to be kind.
A couple of things I want to say. One is I want to thank the community of Sarnia Lambton, the city and the county, for their help to reduce the burden on the community. It's the only way to fight this disease, actually, is to prevent it from spreading between us as community members. From a hospital standpoint, being the last line of defense, I just want to assure the community that we're very ready for this to fight. And the staff, everybody is ready for this. And we have we've looked after many patients, as you know. And I just want to, on behalf of all the staff at BLUEWATER Health, want to relay our condolences to the 8 patients that we've lost. And we'll do our best not to lose any more. But we need the community's help to heed the advice of public health and stay at home.
We actually have posted some data on this on our website. So now that there are more cases, we can start to break them down between different kinds of categories. And so I think that the rural-urban mix is about 60-40, but there's definitely a rural component of this. And so I don't think any community should be presuming that it's not there. I think we've been asking everybody right from the beginning to say, you know, our ability to tell you that it's somewhere lags far behind when it actually is there. So you should presume that it's there, and you should presume that it's in Sarnia as well as in every other municipality in the county.
When we come back, more from the community forum, including some discussion on Sarnia's economy during and after the pandemic, right here on Sarnia Lambton Daily. Welcome back. As part of today's community forum on the pandemic in the region, the question was asked about the economy of the city of Sarnia and how it may fare during this situation and the months following it. Mayor Mike Bradley and CAO Chris Carter addressed the issue.
We're taking, and I think Chris Carter, the CAO, should come in on the tail end of this about the city staff, because we're no different than the other city. We were going to have to make some difficult decisions that relates to seasonal, part-time, and other employees. We have delayed property taxes for a couple of months. I was pleased that the province listened to the concern I'd raised about market value, which is frozen at the 216 levels. We're assessing the situation weekly, and we are going to do the things that are right for the city. Had a conference call with the Economic Partnership this morning. We all recognize the severity of this. This is like a depression and a medical crisis at the same time. And I'm not going to be, I'm not smart enough to predict the future, but I do know that we're going to have to take some very dramatic steps in the community. And the faces of our community, just on a visual sense, will change, because we won't have the staff to do all those great things they do out there to make the community look like it does in the parks and all those activities that we provide. But it is a work in progress. We have a very good team, and they're on this call today, and we've got a really good sub-team. We've been meeting every day as a primary control group for the last 3 to 4 weeks and trying to deal with issues up front. And yes, property taxes is one of them. I could not predict the delinquency rate. I could guess that it's going to be significant, because many of the businesses that we're talking to, a month or two of cash flow missing is too much. And whether these other programs, which I applaud the federal and provincial governments for doing, will make the difference, I don't know. But they are getting some hope and confidence and some kindness, as the doctor said, back into the community. But I think the key is that we understand the pain out there. We're going to do our best to mitigate it and get to a brighter day.
I do want to take this opportunity to recognize my team within the administrative portfolio. We have a great staff. We have hard workers. We have a dedicated workforce that's just giving 110% through this unique time, if I can say that. We do have frontline staff, we have essential staff, and we also have services that we have to continue to provide on a daily basis for our residents. So I do want to just take this opportunity to recognize my team, recognize the hardworking staff within the corporation, and the continued service that we're going to provide for all the residents moving forward administratively. However, to Mr. Cook's comments regarding financial updates, yes, staff actually met the other week. We are preparing a Q1, first quarter financial update that will be presented to council, and we're hoping to have the next council meeting in April. I believe it might be April 20th that we're projecting. That report will be presented to council. It's going to be preliminary. Those numbers are being worked on right now to understand our current state financially. In addition to that, we are looking at additional incentives that we're providing to the community in terms of tax deferral. We're not increasing any rates for any dog tags. We're providing free ridership on transit. So there is essential services that we're providing that we are looking at in terms of mitigating. But we also want to recognize that we also provide healthy financial plans for council to consider. Council just recently at the last budget was very strategic with respect to their reserves and their allocations of funds. We do have healthy reserves that we believe that could get us through this unique situation. And we also have gapping situations. We do have employment positions that were not filled before this pandemic arose. Obviously, there's going to be some gapping dollars within our current structure. But right now, we believe with the proper financial planning, some staff are taking some volunteered time off, and also with some of our other methods that we're using, we're hoping, and fingers crossed, I'm going to take the positive here, that we're going to be able to rebound and continue to provide those essential services moving forward in the future once this is all behind us.
I talked to the plant manager at Imperial Oil earlier this morning. I hear from labor constantly, and labor is actually offered through the building trades to do work to help us even with a temporary hospital. So there's that collaborative community aspect that is really strong here, which is good to work with. But it is, Troy, it is uncharted waters. And I know in my own case, and the CAO knows this, I want to do everything possible not to lay people off. I want to do everything we can to keep the economy functioning. And that's one of the good things. It's funny and ironic that so many people are now going to Ottawa and the provincial government looking for assistance, who used to diminish the role of government. The government didn't have a role. Leave us alone. But now they understand the role of government. And I think a number of the programs the feds and the province have offered will help the companies locally get through it. I was delighted to see, for years I've said the petrochemical sector is the Rodney Dangerfield of industries. It doesn't get any respect from Ottawa or for Queen's Park for what it does for the Canadian economy. They were designated an essential group because of the products that are produced here that make this country work. So I see that as positive, keeping us going. But there's no question there's going to be shrinkage in the workforce. There's going to be challenges in the labor movement with the trades and keeping them on the workforce till we get back to some stability. But the key is we're talking to each other. We're not shouting at each other. We're not looking for scapegoats. We're trying to find ways to move forward, find that third way to make things happen and keep stability in the community. 2 months from now, it may be totally different. But right now, I think we're in a good position to try to get through this storm, at least in the coming months.
While most people in the community are following physical distancing and self-quarantine rules, there are some that want to take a different approach. It has been made quite clear that if you don't want to follow the rules, it may cost you in your health and also in your wallet.
Communities across Ontario have faced this in the last little while. I know London had a busy weekend last weekend. We have too, and we've had a lot of help from bylaw. The message we'd like to get out is this particular individual refused to be quarantined, even though they have been quarantined for international travel. That endangers everybody and ended up in some enforcement. The general enforcement is failing to comply with an order under the declared emergency. And that is everything from if you're in a closed park or doing a prohibited activity to unlawful gatherings of more than 5 people. Nobody likes these rules. I don't like being told what to do in my private life. Nobody does. But the fact is we're doing this all for the good of the community. So Sarnia Police are going to continue to be out there with Sarnia bylaw, and we're going to enforce the law.
We do have the statistics of what's been going on the hotline and on the enforcement side, and we should be releasing those out to the media so they have that information. I'm seeing the 80-20 rule, which pretty well applies to every bylaw that we have, right? 80% cooperate, 20% of the problem. And myself personally, I believe that we should have shut the country down weeks ago. We didn't. We got through the toughest part. And so we're working with this drip thing every day. Every day there's a different restriction, provincially, federally, and locally. And I think there's going to be a lot of tension as we move into the hot weather and people are frustrated and they're worried financially. They're worried about their personal relationships. But I know that the policy here has been and it was education, education, education. I know the same with the county, and Mayor Weaver could speak to that. But the fact is, education only goes so far. So now I'm pleased to see the charge the police have laid against the one person that sent a strong message who didn't self-isolate. I personally believe that we now have passed, and I've seen the stories out of London too, that people just aren't, a certain segment of the population aren't listening, then charge them. It's a hefty fine, and maybe then they'll get the message. And this isn't about personal freedom. It's about protecting people from dying because of the actions of an individual. It's like giving everyone a handgun and saying, just fire it away and see what happens. And that's why this enforcement is so strong. And I would ask Chris Carter or the chief if we could release what's been coming in, which is really insightful, and also what the public's not doing that we need to get out to the public. Quit doing that, follow the rules, and self-discipline yourself.
Having met with the senior management team every day since this started, not that I don't like seeing these people, but we meet every single day. That's been discussed right from the start. And the initial Instructions from the province and from the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police were use discretion. These are new laws: use discretion, educate, and use discretion. Well, that time is now done. Obviously, if somebody's made a small mistake that is correctable without a fine, that would still happen, but it's time now that we're going to have to address that very, very small percentage of the population that isn't concerned with everybody else. I've said this before, I feel like a broken record, but the vast majority of people and businesses are absolutely complying with the law. And if you drive down the streets of Sarnia now, it's like a ghost town, like every other city. And that's impressive because it's very difficult for everyone. But there are a small percentage that feel that they don't have to listen. And so that's where the enforcement's going to have to come in. And I see it's increased across the province. I mean, like I say, London had a busy weekend last weekend. Some cities have just laid their first charges like us, but I'm sure, unfortunately, there will be more.
This is going to become an increasing issue all across the county as the weather warms and people want to come out and be active. So it is something that each municipality, all the municipalities also meet regularly with the doctor and an update. And it's something that's being discussed at each municipality, how we interact with the OPP and our bylaw officers as well. So we need to keep addressing this and changing, and the message still has to be that everybody needs to stay home and stay safe and follow the rules. I want to add a comment that there is so many good things happening in the community with volunteers that are supporting everybody. We can't forget that part of this. Yes, there's some bad actors out there, but there is the majority of the people, and it's a large majority, are doing what they can to help the seniors, help the vulnerable, and staying safe. So.
I'd like to just conclude on this topic, and I will echo what the mayor and Chief Hansen said too, and also the warden. It is education. That has been our prime mandate from day one, was to educate. But I have to take it a step further from an administrative perspective and ensure that the essential staff, the essential workers that are going out there every day on behalf of the residents to ensure that they're safe and are complying with the rules and regulations are also, looking after themselves. I have an obligation on behalf of the corporation to ensure that my team has a health and safety protocols and regulations that they need to follow. So just in closing this, we are out there to educate, but please also take in consideration that it's not just the public, it's also the essential service employees that are going out there every day. And in some regards, putting their services on the front line for all the residents to have a safe community. So in closing on that, it's all education and health and safety.
When we return, some final words from the community forum here on Sarnia Lambton Daily on YourTV. Throughout Sarnia Lambton Daily, we have let you hear from various community officials as they took part in a community forum as part of the pandemic efforts in the region. Let's hear from a few more officials.
And I also wanted to thank Chris Carter from the city for allowing the village to be part of the control group, and also to Warden Weber. It's been most helpful for us to be able to work together with the whole community, and it helps. As we know, it's new territory, and it's been very helpful, and you as well, Chief Plain, sorry. But to be able to talk to everyone and to talk out the issues to help us make decisions that benefit all of our communities has been most beneficial, and we appreciate being included.
I'm just going to echo what Mayor HADDAD said. We're very grateful as a community to be included in this group, and we're very thankful to be a community partner in this. Not normally are we, but given the circumstance, it's really good to be able to share the information with my community. We heavily rely on this group to be able to help us understand where we are. We thank public health, we thank the hospital and all of the essential workers, our frontline workers, our emergency personnel. Our community is very grateful, and we've been on board all the way. We're trying to make sure we hammer home the same messages, and these are the group that's providing us with that key messaging. And so we're very grateful, and thank you for allowing us to be part of it.
I just would like to start off by commending Sarnia Fire personnel. They are continuing to serve the public with devotion to duty. They are committed, and I commend their professionalism under great strain and stress and uncertain times. And I think we can echo that sentiment amongst all other emergency services personnel, from Lambton County EMS to Sarnia Police Service to BLUEWATER Health and all other healthcare professionals that are doing a fantastic job. My message to the public and to the media is to continue to practice those guidelines and the messaging from Lambton Public Health. Stay at home because you're safe at home. It may seem to be a huge inconvenience, and we are going stir crazy in many regards, but it is imperative to follow up on the mayor's message that we're going to beat this together, but you have to do your part. And we're asking people to hang in there a little bit longer, and let's see if we can overcome this together.
I echo Mayor Bradley's concerns, and heartfelt condolences goes to those that have lost loved ones and those that are trying to accept how this is going. So we share that message. My thoughts go to all our essential workers that are there in our hospitals, our first responders. I thank you for everything that you're doing. I know that there's nurses and doctors that are afraid. They're very afraid for what is coming. So with that, I encourage everyone that is not following the recommendations of our health professionals to please do that. We will get through this, but we need to have the support of everyone. We need everyone to follow those regulations, those recommendations, so that we can get through this. Our world is going to be changed when we come out of this, but we can make adjustments to that. We need to be in this together to get through us. Stay strong, stay safe, stay home, all of those things.
For those who have lost loved ones to COVID, the people of Sarnia Lambton are now your extended family, grieving with you. And for those that are ill, everything that can be done will be done to assist you. For those not infected yet, act as if your life depends on your actions, because it does. And if you don't want to follow the guidelines, then the other option is death. Sacrifice is needed by all of us in our daily lives, so Canada gets better. I close by saying, stay strong, stay safe. The virus will not defeat us or define us as Sarnians or Canadians.
We hope you've enjoyed our wrap-up of the community forum with some of the issues being faced through this COVID-19 pandemic in Sarnia Lambton. A reminder that Sarnia Lambton Daily is here with you every night on YourTV beginning at 6 o'clock, and you can also watch us on the YourTV Sarnia website and Facebook pages beginning at 7. For Sarnia Lambton Daily, I'm Terry Doyle. We'll see you tomorrow.